I didn't realize I was handing him over. Not that night. Not with the candles, the laughter, and the glass of wine still sweating in my hand. Have you ever done something so stupid, so catastrophically short sighted that you felt the consequences echo for years? Because that's where I am. And I'm saying this out loud because maybe if I tell it, I'll stop replaying it in my head every single night. I'm Hannah, and this is the story of how I gift wrapped the man I loved and gave him to someone else. It started like any other one of our wild ideas. Back then, my fiancé, well, boyfriend at the time, and I prided ourselves on being different. We weren't the couple who argued about laundry or got bored after a year. No, we were the couple who chased experiences. Road trips at midnight, skinny dipping in hotel pools, surprise plane tickets to nowhere. We thought that made us stronger, unbreakable. So when his birthday rolled around last year, I wanted to give him something memorable. I wanted to outdo myself. And somewhere in that twisted cocktail of love, thrill seeking, and the need to keep things exciting, I landed on an idea that now feels like it was cooked up in the devil's kitchen. Another woman. I can't even remember where the thought first came from. Maybe it was a half joke in a late night conversation. Maybe it was one of those if we ever hypotheticals that couples sometimes toss around. But once it rooted itself in my mind, it grew fast. I told myself it was just a gift. Just one night, a story we'd laugh about in our 50s. The woman I picked wasn't a stranger. She was someone we'd met a few times through friends. Bubbly, sweet, with that effortless charm that makes people lean in when she talks. Her name was Madison, and when I messaged her framing it as this crazy surprise for his big day, she didn't hesitate. She said she was flattered. The night itself, it felt intoxicating at first. He came home from work, tired but smiling, and I told him I had something waiting for him upstairs. His face lit up. He thought it was just me in some elaborate setup. And then Madison stepped out from behind the door. I'll never forget the look on his face. Shock, amusement, disbelief, and something else. Something I only recognize now, interest. We poured wine. We laughed nervously. I kept telling myself, "You're the cool girlfriend. You can handle this." And in the moment, I did. Or at least, I thought I did. It was all over in a blur, like a scene I wasn't fully part of, just watching. When it was done, we all ended up in the kitchen eating leftover cake, like it was some quirky bonding experience. I remember thinking, this is it. This is love without jealousy. If only I knew what I just set in motion. That night, I fell asleep, curled into his side, feeling proud of myself. And I had no idea that in the quiet hours I wasn't awake for, he was probably thinking about her, that a single gift could shift the balance of everything we'd built. It would take me months to notice the first cracks. The way his phone lit up at odd hours. The way his laughter sounded softer when he talked to her. The excuses that slipped in so easily. But for now, in that moment, I thought I had done something bold and beautiful. Turns out, I'd just lit the fuse. In the mighty name of hindsight, I wish I'd never done it. Back then, I didn't see the warning signs. Maybe because our whole relationship was built on playing with fire. And when you live like that long enough, you stop noticing the smoke. From the very start, we were the couple people, either envied or side-eyed. We weren't content with dinner dates and Netflix. No, we needed adrenaline. Surprise weekend trips to cities we couldn't afford. Sneaking into concerts without tickets. Late night drives to nowhere, just to feel the rush of headlights on empty roads. We wore our recklessness like a badge. It was part of our charm, our thing. And I thought it meant we were immune to the slow death most relationships suffer. Looking back now, I realized that thrill-seeking was just distraction. A shiny cover over the fact that we never really learned how to be still with each other, how to sit in quiet, unglamorous moments without searching for the next big high. Madison, the woman from that night, fit right into that world. She was just as impulsive, just as comfortable breaking rules. And I think that's part of why I didn't feel threatened at first. She seemed like our kind of person, someone who understood the way we lived. After his birthday, the three of us crossed paths a few times. Group settings, casual catch-ups. She'd always bring up some wild idea, skydiving, last-minute music festivals. And he'd light up like a kid, hearing about a secret playground. I told myself it was harmless. In fact, I leaned into it. We'd always teased each other about our top 10 crazy ideas list. And Madison just gave us more material. I didn't see competition. I saw her as part of the game. But here's the thing about games. The more players you add, the less control you have over the outcome. The first time I noticed something different was during one of our adventure planning nights. We were sitting on the floor, surrounded by takeout containers, mapping out a ridiculous cross-country road trip. Madison was there too, lounging on the couch. At some point, I went to grab more drinks, and when I came back, they were just looking at each other. Not in a guilty way, not in a caught in the act way. It was worse than that. It was quiet, familiar, like they had their own language now. I brushed it off, told myself I was imagining things because of the whole birthday situation. But the truth is, something had shifted, and I was too busy playing the role of cool, confident girlfriend to admit I felt it. The months rolled by, like that, me, him, and Madison tangled in this weird social rhythm. And every time I thought about drawing a line, I'd hear his voice in my head. We're not like other couples. We're different. I clung to that difference, like it was proof I had nothing to worry about. But really, it was the rope tightening around my neck. The kind of rope you don't feel until it's too late. It didn't happen all at once. There was no single moment where I could point and say, that's when I lost him. It was slower, sneakier, like a draft slipping through a closed window. You can't see it, but you feel the chill. At first, I noticed little things. The way his phone would light up with her name in the middle of the day, and he'd tilt the screen just enough so I couldn't read it. The way he'd mention her in passing, tiny throwaway comments that didn't matter on their own, but stacked up into something heavier. Oh, Madison told me about this place. Madison sent me this song. She had gone from being our friend to being his reference point. One night, we were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, and his phone buzzed. He smiled down at it, in that slow, private way I used to think was reserved for me. I asked who it was, and he shrugged. Just Madison. No explanation, no reason, just Madison. I remember laughing it off in that moment, but it wasn't real laughter. It was the kind that's thin and hollow, the kind that tries to hide the sound of your stomach dropping. Then there were the absences, little gaps in his day, where I didn't know where he was, and when I asked, he'd give vague answers. Just out, or had to run an errand. I didn't press, because pressing meant breaking the unspoken rule. We'd built our relationship on trust, without question. It's strange. I used to wear that trust like armor. Now I can see it for what it was, a blindfold. The breaking point came on a Sunday afternoon. We'd been out for brunch with friends, and he suggested we all swing by Madison's place because she'd just moved. I didn't think much of it until we got there. Her apartment wasn't quite ready for guests. There were half-unpacked boxes, dishes in the sink, clothes draped over the back of a chair, and yet there was this ease between them. The way she moved around him, the way he knew exactly where she kept the glasses,
The way she teased him about leaving his jacket there, last time, it hit me then, he'd been here without me, more than once. I sat there on her couch, smiling, nodding, joining in their conversation, while my mind screamed. Every word they exchanged was like a thread pulling tighter around me, and I realized they weren't just connected, they were comfortable, too comfortable. When we left, I didn't say a word, not in the car, not when we got home, but that night, lying in bed next to him, I knew I didn't need proof. I didn't need a confession. I had given him Madison, and he had taken her in ways I never imagined. What I didn't know yet was how far it had already gone. 2 months ago, he ended it. No warning, no long messy fight to lead up to it. Just a conversation I didn't know was going to change everything. It was a Thursday evening. I'd made pasta. Nothing fancy, just the kind of weeknight dinner that says we're home, we're steady. He barely touched his plate. I thought maybe he was tired, maybe work had drained him. But then he said my name, in that careful way people use when they're about to deliver bad news. Hannah, I think we should take a break. A break. That's the word people choose when they don't have the courage to say, I'm leaving. I asked him why. He gave the kind of answer that sounds gentle, but slices you anyway. We've changed. I need to figure out what I really want. I don't think we're on the same page anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just sat there, staring at the steam curling up from my untouched plate of pasta, wondering how many nights he'd already rehearsed this. And then, 3 days later, I saw them together, not in some shadowy alley, or behind a closed door. No, they were at the same cafe, where we'd had our first date. She was laughing at something he said, her hand reaching across the table to touch his. It wasn't a just friend's touch, it was the kind that carries memory. That's when the timeline started to make sense. The missed calls, the sudden work dinners, the way he'd been quieter in the evenings, distracted. I didn't confront him right away. Part of me wanted to believe there was still a version of this story where Madison was just a passing mistake. But the truth settled in quickly, like water seeping into carpet, silent but irreversible. Weeks passed. I went from crying every morning to feeling nothing at all. And then last week, I heard it from a friend. They were engaged, 14 months after the night. I thought I was being fun and adventurous. He was about to marry the woman I'd brought into our bedroom. The sting isn't just that he chose her, it's that I gave her to him. I made the introduction. I put the two of them in the same room, lit the candles, poured the wine, and stepped aside. And now, there's nothing left for me to do but watch. It's strange how silence feels heavier than sound. I haven't spoken to him in weeks, but somehow he's everywhere. In the smell of the cologne bottle I forgot to throw out. In the playlist we made together, that still shuffles through my car speakers. In the way I avoid certain streets, because I know they lead to their place now. 14 months ago, I thought I was giving him a story. One wild, reckless night we'd look back on when we were old and say, remember that? Now, that night is the doorway I can't close. Every time I picture him standing at the altar, I see Madison there too, but I also see me, holding the door open for her. People tell you that regret fades, but they don't tell you about the shape it leaves behind. Mine is jagged, and it catches on everything. I don't stalk their social media. Not anymore. I don't text him late at night when the loneliness feels like it's eating through my ribs. But I still wake up sometimes, thinking he's in the bed beside me, and it takes a full minute to remember he's not. He hasn't been for a while. The worst part, it's not the betrayal, it's not even losing him, it's knowing I handed them the first spark. If I had never sent that message to Madison, if I had never lit those candles, If I had never tried to prove how cool I could be, would he still be mine? Would we still be making plans instead of me watching him walk down the aisle toward her? I'll never know. That's the ghost I live with. The version of my life where I didn't give him away, and it haunts me in the quiet moments when no one's around to see me fold in on myself. I guess some gifts can't be returned. And this one, it took everything.